So we've recently been looking into nail guns and all of the different types of tool that you can pick up. And it seems that Dewalt have almost every area covered, and that is strictly within their 18-volt XR range. So all of these tools in front of me are different types of Dewalt nail guns that run off of their 18-volt XR battery. So we're going to have a little look into each of these and see exactly what they do. Keep in mind, Dewalt do make some pneumatic nail guns that require an air compressor to be powered, but we are focusing solely on the 18-volt XR models. Now let's start with first fix. This is the DCN 692. Now this is a really impressive framing nailer, so this is going to be great for your construction, for your timber assembly, and don't get me wrong, this is definitely for your rough and tough kind of work, and it's definitely not discreet about it. When you fire this into timber, you will definitely know where this has been. Now, like it says on the side, the magazine can support angled nails between 30 and 34 degrees and can actually hold 55 nails at one time, so you can get through some longer jobs without having to worry about restocking every few minutes. Now, sticking with first fix, this is a positive placement nailer. This is the DCN 694. Now, this is going to be ideal when you need maximum precision. Now don't get me wrong, the framing nailer is going to be perfect for a wide range of applications. However, there are going to be times where you're going to need to be as precise as possible. The positive placement nail gun is going to be the way to go. Now, regarding nails it can support, you're seeing a bit more of a restriction in this model than over the standard framing nailer, whereas this can only support nails ranging between 35 and 40 mil in length, and it can hold up to 27 at a time. Now that is a bit more of a restriction, like I said, than over the DCN 362, and the reason for that is because you're not going to need as many when using a positive placement nailer. You know, these are for very specific tasks. Now, moving on to one of my favourites, you might not really be able to see it tucked away back here, is the DCN 45R. Now, this is a first fix coil nailer. Now, this is a really interesting tool. This is designed essentially to hold as many nails as possible within this coil in the front. This can hold up to 120 nails. Now, there are a couple of reasons as to why this is beneficial. First of all, if you're working on, on the likes of a rooftop or anything like that, in harder to access areas, you're going to want to carry as many nails as you can as possible without having to come back down and refill. So this can hold up to 120 nails. The other benefit here is speed. Now, in the coil mechanism, you're actually able to fire through nails much quicker. This can actually fire up to 3 nails every second. So when you're looking for speed and you're looking to get as many nails in here as possible, this is the way to go. Now, the tool can support nails ranging between 19 mil and 45 mil in length, which gives you a bit more option depending on the task you're going through. These kind of guns, though, are primarily used for installing cladding. Now, moving on to one of the biggest of the bunch, this is the Dewalt DCN 890 concrete nailer. You may have already guessed it, but this is for fixing into concrete. This is for the likes of fixing metal stud wall frames or even hanging electrical trunking. Now, this is big, bulky, and it absolutely packs a punch. And a nice little feature that this has is it has an interchangeable nose, so you can change it depending on what you're doing with the tool. You have noses for magnetic, non-magnetic, and drywall. Now, the magazine here can hold nails ranging between 13 and 57 mil in length, and it can hold up to 30 nails at a time. So that was first fix, and now let's move on to second fix with 2 straight brad nailers here with the Dewalt DCN 662 and the DCN 680. Now, these are both straight brad nailers, and what a brad nailer for is for more of your discrete task over the likes of your first fix. This is for working on door frames, skirting boards, and along those lines where you'd be using a smaller nail because you want to be a little bit more discreet. Now, like I said, we have 2 straight brad nailers here, but there are a slight difference between these both. The 662 is a 16 gauge nailer and the 680 is an 18 gauge nailer, so you already have a difference in diameter between the nails that these fire. Now, because there's a difference in gauge, there's also a difference in nail length that these support. The 662 can fire nails ranging between 32 mil and 63 mil, whereas the 680 can fire nails ranging between 15 mil and 54 mil. Now, with brad nailers, we aren't quite done there because we also have the DCN 660 angled brad nailer. Now, the benefit to having an angled device over a straight device is that this can be much easier to use when working into tight corners and harder to reach areas because you don't have as much of an edge on the tool, so you can kind of work it into those more tight spots. On the flip side though, you may find that straight brad nailers actually support more variations of nails. That said, the magazine on this can hold up to 110 nails at one time and can support lengths ranging between 32 and 63mm. Now, moving on to staplers with this behemoth. This is the Dewalt DCFS 950 fencing stapler. Now, this is used, like you'd be able to guess, to fix metal wire onto fencing posts. This is a very popular tool in the agricultural industry. Now, when using a tool like this to assemble a fence, you are going to want that fence to stand the test of time, which is why the staples that this fire are galvanized, which stops them from rusting and increases their hold power, so they're going to be able to withstand that pesky UK weather. Now, this can fire staples ranging between 38 and 50mm that can hold up to 35 staples at a time. Now, moving on to the DCN 681 narrow crown stapler. Now, this is an 18 gauge stapler and it has similar applications to that of the brad nailers. This is for your finishing work, but what is impressive about this is the accuracy that you can get with it. With so many different micro adjustments on board, it's really good when you're looking to get maximum precision in your finishing work. Another handy thing about this is that the narrow crown staples are actually smaller than the brad nails. So if you are looking to leave the smallest mark possible, then maybe this is the tool for you. Moving on, we have the DCN 701. This is an electrician's cable stapler. Now, this is used for fixing twin and earth cables to timber joists, and it's just gonna be much more efficient and also much safer than hammering them in by hand. Now, this fires insulated crown staples, which have a piece of insulated plastic there to stop the metal of the staple making contact with the wire, making your job as safe as possible. Now, this accepts 25mm staples and can hold up to 35 in the magazine at one time, so you'll be getting through the job in no time. Last and definitely not least, this is a really interesting bit of kit. This is the DCN 682 flooring stapler. Now, this is designed for one use in mind, and that is for fixing hardwood floors. And the benefit to using this tool is that when the staples are fired into the floorboards, they will become completely invisible. So your floors will be solid and you won't leave a trace. Now, as you can see here, it has an inverted firing design, which makes the application of the staples as easy as possible, but also just makes it much more precise. When you were looking to get the job done and get the job done well, then you are going to want to turn to the 682. So there we have it. These are all of DeWalt's 18-volt XR nail guns available at its.co.uk. Now, this just proves that DeWalt have you covered regardless of what industry you're in. And so if you need to be using a framing nailer, DeWalt have got you covered. They've got you covered with second fix as well, but all the way through to fencing staplers and even floorboard staplers. You can check all of these out over at its.co.uk, and you better make sure that you are getting the right fixings for your nail gun as well, and you can do so with our fixings finder. Just click on the nail gun that you own and you'll be able to see a list of all of the available fixings in stock at its.co.uk that are compatible with your tool.